Hey, what is going on, guys? Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Dime, but better known as Simile, and welcome to another video. Hopefully you guys are having a good day today, because I'm gonna be teaching you basically how you can make an orthographic view of a room. Like, maybe you saw some of that on Blender Artist or somewhere around the internet, I don't know. It looks really cool, and I just like give all props to the artist because he made this and it looks amazing. We're gonna try to make something like that in Blender today, because that was also done in Blender and I just couldn't believe it. It looked amazing. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description so you can check it out and support him. So basically, I'm gonna go ahead now and go from Blender Render first to Cycles Render, right here. And we're gonna go ahead now and just click 0 on the numpad so we can just, see our camera view. We're gonna click the border of the camera, and if you click the border, you're gonna see an option here for the camera. We're gonna click on that and then go to orthographic view. So it's gonna show you the orthographic view is sort of like 3D, but it's 2D. It doesn't have like the endpoints and stuff. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go ahead now and click on the camera here, and we're gonna change the resolution to 1920 by 1920, like that. So as you can see, it's not really centered, the camera with the cube. So we're gonna click N by still having the camera selected, and then move the Y here until it's like, in the middle. When it's in the middle, we can select the cube and then just scale it, just enough. I think that's gonna be good. I'm just gonna bring it a little bit up. There we go. Okay, we have that. Now I'm gonna click N so we can close this one. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna click tab while having the cube selected and going to face mode right here, selecting this, and we're gonna click A to deselect everything, and then hold shift while selecting these 3 faces right here. We're gonna click X, and then we're gonna click faces. Okay, you can go ahead now and click A, and then W, and then flip normals. Okay, now we can leave the edit mode by clicking tab. So what we did right now is that we removed the 3 faces from the cube. So right now, if I exit the camera mode and just look around, you can see what it looks like right now. And what we did also is that we flipped normals. That means that we flipped the faces that he thought were in and they're actually out. So that pretty much fixed the shading here. So I'm gonna click back to 0 here, and I'm gonna click tab again. I'm gonna like move my cursor around this line over here. Just have your cursor around here, and then click Control R, and then using your scroll wheel to go up, you can make 2 loop cuts. Then click left click, and then right click to hold the position. So now what we made here is just like 2 loop cuts that basically go through the whole thing. Actually, let's go ahead just and remove the grid, because it is really annoying. Let's go to N and then click on, let me just find it real quick. There we go, display, and then we go ahead and click on the grid. Then we remove the X, Y, and the Z right here. So we can click N to close that out. There we go. It's really like, you can see the 2 lines right here. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. So we're gonna click Control R while looking at this edge over here, and then move your scroll wheel, move it up once. So we create 2 loop cuts, then left click, and then right click. There we go. So that's gonna hold it in there. And the only thing that we're missing right now, as you can see, it's everywhere cubes, but on the walls. So we're gonna do the same thing over here. We're gonna look at this edge over here, and then click Control R, and then scroll wheel once, and left click, and right click. So that's what's gonna make our basic geometry of the room. We're gonna click A once to deselect everything. And what we need now is to make a window and doors. So we're gonna do that by going in face select mode by clicking this, and then determining where we want the window to be. We want it right here. So we're gonna press on the window with right click, then click X, and then faces. We're gonna do the same for the door here, but the door is gonna be 2 blocks high. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna click Shift and hold shift while we're selecting faces, so it selects multiple faces. We can stop pressing shift now, click X, and then faces again. So right now we can click Tab to exit the edit mode and see what we did right here. So as you can see, it's pretty much a room, but it's not really having that 3D in-depth effect. We're gonna do that right now. Let's click 0 to go back to camera, and then go Tab, and we're gonna go with the walls by making them thicker. We're gonna select the walls over here, then click E, then Y, and then dot 2, then click enter. Okay, so now you can click A to deselect the wall, and as you can see, what we did is that we created kind of a thicker wall, not just a line right like that we see over here. So we're gonna fix the one over here as well. So hold Shift, select the edges here, and then stop holding Shift, click E, and then X minus 0.2, click enter. Okay, so now we can click A to deselect this. And what we want to do now is that we want to go ahead and make the floor deep as well. So we're going to select every single edge that's on the floor by clicking Shift and holding it, and then selecting edges. So I'm going to select every single one that's like down here. Okay, now I'm going to click E and then Z minus dot 2. Click enter and then A. Okay, so the only thing we're missing right now is the top one. But we're gonna do that one a little bit different because we want to go down here and click on the vertex. So what's that gonna do is it's gonna snap our edges to the vertex. Let me just zoom that in so it's gonna be easier for you to see it, because like the lines are really hard to see right now. Okay, when you select this by holding Shift, right, and then release the Shift, you can click E, and then you can click right click. So now we extruded it, but we just locked its position. We can go ahead now and move the red arrow forward, and we want to snap it to right over here, as you can see, like if you see right over here on this edge. So we're gonna do it by selecting the arrow and then holding Control, and then looking with our cursor and then selecting that. We can now let go Control. We can now let go left click, and then Control let go. And that's pretty much what we did right now. We're gonna do the same thing over this side over here. So hold Shift. Actually, yeah. So you want to deselect this, and then hold Shift, and then select the edges, including this one over here, the small one. Now we're gonna do the same thing, extrude, and then right click, and then move it by the green arrow, and then click Control and hold it, and then snap it here. Now you can let go, left click, and Control. There we go. Now we can click A to deselect it. So the only thing that's left right now is to do a window and the doors to make it sort of depth. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Select the door, hold Shift. Sorry, select the window, hold Shift while selecting the edges. Extrude, and then X minus 0.2. Click enter, then click A to deselect the edges. And let's do the same thing over here. We're gonna select the edges right here and hold Shift, of course. Extrude, and then Y.2. Click enter and then A to deselect them. Now we can leave the tab mode, the edit mode, sorry, by clicking tab. Okay, there we go. So I'm just gonna move around right now. So as you can see on this side, it's not really that beautiful, but we don't really care about that because nobody's going to see it. We're only going to see it from this side. So we can go ahead now and right click on the lamp and delete it by clicking X and then enter. Okay, so if we go ahead now and go to camera mode and click on rendered, it's a little bit dark, and I don't know if you noticed, but it's like it doesn't really have any shading like it has, but like it's so subtle and it's so dark. I really don't like it. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go ahead back to solid mode and make sure you have the selection selected. So I'm gonna go back to camera view, click Shift S and then cursor to selected, and then you can click Shift A and then add a cube. Okay, we're gonna scale that cube. We're gonna leave the camera mode and then scale the cube just enough when we don't see the room, like that. So now we can go ahead and go back to camera mode, click tab to go to edit mode, go to face select, and then select A to deselect everything. Then we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the room. We're gonna select the visible faces like this, and we're gonna click X and then faces. We're gonna remove the lower face as well, so we're gonna select it, click X and then faces. So now we can leave the edit mode by clicking tab, and we're gonna go ahead now and go to the material object right here. We're gonna click new, and we're gonna make an emission by just clicking on this over here and then pressing the letter E on your keyboard. This is gonna create an emission modifier, an emission shader. I'm sorry. So what's that gonna do is that it's gonna make everything bright. We're gonna change this one over here to 10, like that. And now if we click here and click rendered, you're gonna see we're starting to get some shading going on. It's a little bit too bright right now, but don't worry about it. That's totally fine. What we're gonna do now is that we're gonna go ahead and kind of scale it because it's going over the walls. As you can see right here, we don't want that to be happening. So let's go back to solid mode. Make sure you have the emission modifier selected, the emission shader. I'm so sorry, I don't know what I'm talking. And let's click tab, go to edge select, select this edge over here, then move the red arrow and then click control and then just put it on the edge over here. So what's that gonna do? Let's just leave the camera on. It's gonna put it exactly over the edge over here. So what you can do is just put it a little bit like back away just in case some lighting tries to go through here. And we're gonna do the same thing over here. We're just gonna move it like that. The important thing is that it's covering the window and the doors because that's the only source of light where it should be coming from. We're gonna select the both on the top by clicking shift and then right click, and then we're gonna put it down like this so it doesn't go over the wall over here. We can click tab to edit the to exit the edit mode. And now if we go ahead and go to camera mode and then click rendered, that's gonna look much better. So now if you want to have the white stuff over here going on, that's totally fine. But if you want to later replace it or do anything with it, we can just go ahead and remove the white but keep the shadows. Okay, so we're gonna do that by going to object mode. On that cube, we're gonna just rename it from here emission. There we go. So because that's giving us the emission, that's not the room object, it's like the emission, the back thing of the room. We're gonna go down here to the cycle settings. We're gonna click on camera, and there we go. As you can see, we just removed it here, and we're just gonna make the background transparent if we want to. We're gonna do it later. Actually, we don't really need that right now. So yeah, now what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna go ahead and go back to solid mode, and we're gonna just click the room, click tab to go to edit mode, and then click the face select. We're gonna select the floor by clicking shift and then selecting every single tile on the floor, like so. You can release shift now. You can click shift D, then right click, and then you can click P and selection. So what that does is that if we exit the edit mode right now and click on the floor, you can see we actually duplicated the thing that was right here, and we can move it right now. So we're gonna go ahead now and move it up like this, an approximation to put it just like on the top of the room. And what we're gonna do with that one is that we're gonna go to material, and then we're gonna click use nodes. We're gonna make an emission by selecting this and clicking E, and then we're gonna make it a little yellow, just a tiny bit. We're gonna put the strength here to 0.8 so we can just, you know, lower the lighting levels. And we're gonna do the same thing as we did with the outer lighting. We're gonna go to object, and we're gonna scroll down, and then to the cycle settings, we're gonna remove the camera. So what that does is that it gives us like a little I accidentally did this. Don't worry about this. We're gonna go back to solid mode right now. And what we did is that we actually made the emission also work for this. So we're just gonna click a minus over here. That should remove the object, but this should keep it. So let's go back to render now. That's much better, I think that's much better. Okay, so we added a little bit, as you can see, like yellowish atmosphere here. So the only thing left to do right now is to add floor. And when we do that, it's going to be the end of the tutorial, and then we're going to continue the other stuff in the next one. So let's go ahead here and go back to solid mode. And we're going to do the same thing right now that we did with a ceiling. We're going to click on the lower, on the room actually, and then click tab. And then again, select the floor by clicking shift and then selecting every single tile. Shift D, then right click, then P, and then selection. Now you can exit the edit mode and then click on the ground. Now click shift, control, alt, C. And then you're gonna see options pop up. We're gonna click origin to center of mass surface. So what that's gonna do is set our origin to be on the center of our of our object basically. And as you can see, the arrows are right here right now. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna click slash on our numpad, and then we're gonna go to edit mode. Okay, so now we can go ahead and add loop cuts. Click Control R to add a loop cut on every single one of these, and then right click, Control R, and then right click. Oh, sorry, Control R, left click, and then right click. Control R, left click, and then right click, and then let's just repeat that like that. We're gonna add more on the sides, just like that. So it should be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 13 here. We can go ahead and click 7 on the numpad, and then 5 to enter the orthographic mode. We're gonna select the edge select, make sure that's selected, and then select every other edge, every other line here. Okay, when you do that, click X and then dissolve edges. So we're trying to make like floor look like in apartments, you know. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna select, if you see a line here, then here it shouldn't really exist. So we're gonna select that one, and then here there's a line, so this one shouldn't exist. And then, yeah, of course, by clicking shift and then you select the both of them. Then click X and then dissolve edges. So I think you're noticing what we're trying to do here. So there's the line here, and we click on that one. There's a line here, we click on that one. There's a line, click on here. X, dissolve edges. So I'm just gonna speed this process up because I don't think you guys are gonna wait for me to do it. Okay, there we go. So once you did that, we're gonna click A. So we select everything, and we're gonna zoom in on some of the line here. We're gonna click I 2 times, 1, 2, and then we're gonna move our mouse on how much we wanna make the borders actually be visible. So we're gonna click shift and hold shift and then move it just a little bit, so we have just a bit of, like, you see borders here going on here. We're gonna click extrude, E, then Z, and then we're gonna place it on, I don't know, like dot, maybe EZ.1. Yeah, okay. So that didn't work, I don't know why. Extrude Z.1. That's weird, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, I'm gonna use the arrows, apparently something is broken. So extrude, and then right click and then just pull the arrows up. Okay, we can leave the edit mode now, so press tab. As you can see, we got ourselves like a little floor going on here. Now what you can do to like push the realism a bit more is to just click Control B and then drag it, so you get like little curves here. As you can see, Control B and then left click. Okay, and then click A to deselect everything, and then tab to leave the edit mode. So yeah, I think that looks a little better when we add the bevels. We're gonna click slash again so we can come back into our room, and let's just go ahead and see if it's colliding with the floor. Yeah, it is a little bit, as you can see. So we're gonna just click shift and hold it, and then move the arrow a little bit up. Like that. So just so it's not like touching the ground. Okay, now we're gonna go back to camera view and then click on new material, and then we're gonna place this one on glossy so it's a little bit reflective. Then we're gonna place this on like 0.8. Let's just place it on 0.8, and then make the material like light brown maybe. There we go. Okay, now we can go ahead and render. See how that looks. Okay, I like it. Let's go click Control B and then just focus on that one. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, so we're gonna continue the next day. I'm actually gonna record the second part the next day, and we're gonna be making like a chair and a table. We're gonna try to make a window a bit more big, and yeah, so that's basically it. I'm gonna end the tutorial right here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you want to see more of these, just let me know, because tomorrow, of course, I'm gonna upload a new one. And you know, if you just want me to continue the tutorial series, just let me know. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, but till then, just take care.